What's your mindset as you approach this game, week 18, kind of just getting ready for a playoff game?
Well, I mean, that's certainly not my mindset. I think our team, our coaching staff, our players, we're treating this as another opportunity to go get better. Obviously, didn't get the result that we wanted the last two times we went out and played, so excited to go get another opportunity to go play. I've said it a million times before, but it is just such a privilege to play NFL football. You can't take anything for granted, can't take any games for granted or anything. So, we're extremely excited about getting back out there and trying to just put a good game together, 60 minutes of football, and see where that leaves us.
Does the MVP stuff at all enter your mind in terms of finishing with a flourish and kind of maybe?
Listen, I'm not too worried about it. People are going to vote how they want to vote. They're going to say what they want to say. I'm just trying to put as good of a season together as I possibly can. And our last opportunity to do that is coming up this weekend, so I'm excited about that chance. Would love to play perfect in every game. Not a robot, and it happens. Just proud of our team and, just looking forward to another opportunity, like I said.
Do you think to this point this has been your best regular season that you've played in the NFL?
I mean, I think so, probably. It's up there. I think statistically probably. I don't know. I haven't looked at all the other ones, but it's up there, with some of the better ones I've played. But the cool thing about that is just because I have such a great group around me. I can't go out there, and you guys see me play, I can't go out there and scramble around and do all these, hold the ball for 10 seconds and then go on a 30-yard run. Like, I've got great teammates. I try to do my best to, get the best out of those guys and help them, succeed and help those guys have great seasons and great games as best I can. But it really is such a team effort. When it comes to playing offense, defense, special teams, the whole thing, it takes everybody. We understand that. We know it. Nobody on our team feels like we're bigger than the team, and we're all just, excited to do our role as best as we possibly can. And that's our attitude. That's our thought, really the whole season and moving forward. Just do the best you can for your role, and that'll elevate the people around you.
Throughout your career, people have talked about you as being one of the more receiver-friendly quarterbacks in the league. How do you define being receiver-friendly, and what work goes into being that?
I don't know. I've never caught a pass from me, but I'll take it as a compliment. No, I think I've been lucky to play with a lot of really good ones, and just try to make sure that if guys are doing their job and the coverage tells it to go there and all the things, I just try to do my part in getting them the ball. It's really fun for me to watch those guys make the plays that they make and watch them do the things after the catch with it. As far as what makes a quarterback receiver friendly, I don't know. I would imagine if you asked a receiver, he'd probably be like, he throws me the ball, so I try to do that. I try to protect those guys when I can, try not to throw them into bad situations and try to, if I got to lead them in a certain way to try to get them more open, I try to do that. But I like I said, I've been, lucky and fortunate to play with a lot of really good ones. And so as receiver friendly as I am, I got to give those guys a bunch of credit too.
Sorry, you guys got Tyler Higbee back to practice today. You played with him for a while, obviously. But what do you appreciate most when he's out there on the field?
His energy, the way he cares about his teammates. I mean, he's just an ultimate team player. I've loved every minute I've had playing football with Higgs. He's a special football player and has made so many great plays that I can remember off the top of my head. But really, it's just the human being too, right? The human being that celebrates for everybody. Has great celebrations himself. I mean, he's great around the building. He's just an awesome teammate. He's what you want. Everybody calls him a glue guy. Probably an understatement, and he's an unbelievable player. Great person for our team, and we're happy to have him back out there just to be moving around again and feeling like himself. I'm happy for the human being.
You've had teammates and coaches have told me when I've been asking them about what makes you so good to talk about your mental abilities on the field. Can go a lot of different ways, a lot of parts of it. What are you most proud of and what you can do mentally when you're playing?
I like to think that I'm prepared. Obviously, when I go play, every single time I go play, I feel like I try to help our guys and our coaches and everybody put everybody in the best position to succeed. I think one of the biggest, one of the hardest things, one of the biggest attributes you can have at quarterback is just being resilient mentally too, right? Obviously, the other night didn't play the way I wanted to play, had some bad plays that were unfortunate and still doing everything I can to try to make sure that the next play is a better one, and the next play is a better one, and however that goes, and give ourselves a chance to win. And there's been some games this year where we haven't played as well as we wanted to, and we didn't come away with a win. But man, we still fought tooth and nail. We were in all those games and had chances to win. And I feel like being resilient, and being mentally strong, it's smarts and all that kind of stuff helps you out too, and instincts and feel. But being able to weather a lot of storms, because inevitably in life and at this position and, through 17 years, I've had plenty of them. They're not going to stop, at any point, I imagine. So just continue to be myself, try to be as steady as I can for these guys, because I love playing for them. I love playing with them. They do a hell of a job, and gives me a bunch of pride to go out there and try to help them win.
Hiram.
It's all right.
Did you want to get one?
Go ahead. It's okay.
No.
I just want to
I can take 2 more. Oh, shoot. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, I don't want to fuck with that guy. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just curious because you said you're not going to run 30 yards. You're not going to, but you had a play in that game where you out to the left, you slipped a guy and still delivered that. Is that play now just muscle memory, or is it? I mean, are you making that play when you were 22 and you're still making it?
It probably made it look easier back then, to be honest with you. It probably looked difficult, to the naked eye. But yeah, no, I mean, I still play with all the same feel and pocket movement, all that stuff that I used to. It probably just doesn't look the same. I don't get out and run. I think I had a couple 20-yard runs at some point. You're gonna have to fact check me in my career, maybe one. So I used to be able to do that. I'm not looking to go that far anymore. But yeah, I'm trying to do everything I can to buy time. If I need to extend a play and try to get a guy open and help guys, up front, whatever it is. So I don't want to limit myself too much, but you got the gist of what I was trying to say on those. So I appreciate it.
As far as projected kind of practice, because we just had a walkthrough, guys that would be DNP today: Blake Corum, Josh Wallace, Devontae, Kevin Dotson, and then everybody else would be, listed as limited. And Higbee was full, started his clock today.
Are you guys just taking it easy with Quentin Lake? I know you'd mentioned it was possible to bring him back this
Yeah,
week.
we'll start his clock as well. It's just because of the walkthrough, so we'll probably that'll be official tomorrow. We'll be able to get him out there in practice.
Will you start Rob's clock?
Say that again.
Will you start Rob's clock?
Don't think so.
Do you expect Devontae, Alaric, and maybe Quentin to play on Sunday?
Alaric, yes. The other two, no.
So Lake would be more.
Lake would be just to get him out there on the practice field with the expectation of him playing in the first round of the playoffs. And then Devontae, he's going to get out there, be able to do some individual. He's been running around, moving good. I wouldn't say that he's like totally out for the game, but it's more likely than not that he will not play. But again, he and Quentin, the goal is for sure expecting them to be ready to roll for the playoffs.
Is that just to err on the side of caution?
As for, with Devontae, yeah, I would say this. It's more of just to make sure that we're able to kind of get him a full workload. He's going to be able to do some different things in a more controlled setting, Maria. But, just with the position that he plays, being able to open up, want to make sure that we're, getting everything ready to roll and being smart with him just because of the position that he plays and the stress that hamstring takes with some of the different things that we activate with him.
What does it mean to have Tyler Higbee back?
It means a lot. He's obviously always been a glue guy, Gary, from just seeing the influence and effect that he has on his teammates and his team in general, just not only with his production, but just his competitive spirit. And so we'll see how the week progresses. If he is able to go, it'd be great to be able to get him some snaps before the playoffs end up starting. And if he's not, then, we're hopeful that the playoffs will represent, for sure him being ready to go.
Throughout his career, people have talked about how Matthew elevates his pass catchers. What do you think makes him such a receiver-friendly quarterback?
I just think because he's a great quarterback. I don't think it's exclusive to receivers. I think it's any of his eligibles. But I think what he does such a great job of, Adam, is just the communication, the collaboration, and the connection where he gets on the same page with guys. And so repetition is the mother of learning, but it's also those guys getting on the same page. And I think there's such a trust that his teammates have in him. And like we've talked about before, he's kind of an extension of the coaching staff on the field. Even more important because he's the one running the show. And I just think it's, a great example of somebody that, I think one of the biggest compliments, like what we've talked about before, is, do you elevate the people you're around and the situations you're a part of? And he certainly does that. And I think that's been reflected from, guys having their best years around him. And he deserves a ton of credit for that.
on the broadcast, they were talking about how you brought Jared into your office to show him highlights of himself and just kind of remind him the impact that he has. At what points do you feel like, this is a time where I feel the need to do that and to talk to Jared?
I think I don't know that there's ever really kind of a predetermined. I think it's organic, and I think no different than kind of what we've talked about before, Wyatt. I think one of my jobs is to, you trust your staff, you trust your players, and then you try to be able to inject yourself and try to be able to help influence and affect positive change wherever you feel like it's needed. And so it was just one of those things. I love Jared Verse, and so to be able to get some time with him is always special. I spent a good amount of time bumping into that, meeting room just in general to develop relationships, make sure guys are comfortable when I'm around. And I think seeing is more powerful than anything you can say. It's one thing to say it, but then it's another thing to be able to see, all right, I can draw on these tangible examples where, man, this is what it looks like when I'm at my best, and if I've done it before, then I can replicate it, and our job is to help them replicate their highest production or, their good plays more often than not. And I think, Joe does a great job of that, and that was kind of what that meeting entailed.
Is showing success kind of something that you also do team-wide, just in terms of, after a 2-game skid like you just had, just trying to show, how this team has had success?
Yeah, I think you always want to be able to show good stuff, and then I think you also have to acknowledge some of the learning opportunities. It's not necessarily negative; it's learning opportunities, and so sometimes we'll do those in team settings, sometimes we'll do those individually, and so it's kind of whatever is needed. And ultimately, the goal is to be able to learn and to be able to say, all right, hey, how can we make sure that we're trying to replicate the things that we want to be able to do, or we're able to learn and be able to correct the things that maybe we didn't do at the level of execution or decision making. So nobody's above being coached, especially not me in these types of settings. And so the goal is to always try to elicit positive change or to consistently keep the production where it's been if it's a good thing.
You've had a lot of success with the tight ends this year. What do you see when you look across the field at Trey McBride?
He's a stud. I mean, he's really productive, great competitor, willing to be able to compete without the football. He's excellent after the catch. He's got a really versatile route tree. And so, you've seen, he obviously earned the contract. He's had a bunch of production, and he's only getting better and more confident. He's a tough tackle. And so he's an excellent football player, and, he deserves all the credit that he's getting.
Some of Matthew's teammates have talked about how smart he is. Is there a moment that comes to mind when you saw that, either in football or otherwise?
Well, when you just talk to him, he's so worldly and he's so knowledgeable. He's just got great capacity. I think his ability to be able to digest, whether it's some of the things you've asked me about this year, whether it be just the memorization of play calls, the inventory at which he's able to draw from if you're exclusively talking about football. But, just his range, I think one of the most impressive things about him, he's got great range, and that's not exclusive to football. I often sit there with him and I think, man, I am one dumbass compared to this guy. And thank goodness for football, because I don't know much about anything else. And this guy's, he could be really successful in a lot of different fields. He's one of those guys that you're just like, man, what is wrong with you? You got everything going for you. You're smart. And, so I'm very jealous of him.
Do you ever just get caught up talking to him about football?
Yeah, you know what? I like talking to him about other things too. He's very interested in a lot of different topics. We'll talk about leadership a lot. There's a lot of range there that is much deeper and has a lot more depth than what I have, Sarah. But we love talking about football. You guys know that's what I can talk about. Not much else. But he's a special human.
You've talked in the past about getting Tutu more involved, but it's just been 21 plays the past 2 weeks, even with Devontae out. Can you just explain why he's not on the
I've been really impressed with just the class at which he's handled himself, Nate. It's really just, the way that the things have gone offensively since he's been out has just kind of changed. And so he's maximizing. I can't say enough about just, what a stud of a human he is. And, he does elicit, some certain responses when he's out there, and other guys have had a chance, in the midst of his absence to kind of be able to step up. And so it's really just kind of boils down to a numbers thing.
When you say like things have changed in offense, are you talking more like the use of 13 personnel?
That's one of the things, yeah.
When you focus so much on the positive, it sounds like after that game, your address to your players in terms of referencing being
Who told you that?
Being on the couch or whatever.
Wait, what did you just say?
Well, some of your players noted that you said along the lines of if we play like this in 2 weeks,
Oh,
you're going to
yeah.
end up sitting on the couch.
Sure.
Or being on the couch. What?
I was like, what the hell are you going?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, there you go.
So what goes into your mind after a game like that to deliver that? What makes it
It's a good
that time the
question,
appropriate
Gary. I
window?
think, I always want to be, number one, you're always authentic. I think that's the most important thing. I love this team. I love these guys. I have high expectations, which I won't apologize for. And I think you're always trying to be able to strike the right balance. And, what I am always going to try to be is authentic and honest, but also make sure that you bring it back and say, okay, how do we move forward? And, in that state, you're emotional, you're disappointed because I didn't think that we played to the level of expectation and the way that we're capable of. Now, what I was proud of that I definitely included was, man, I'm proud as hell of the fight, the spirit to be able to, get ourselves back in the game. And now how do we finish? You get yourself back to a tie football game. How do we not kick a touchback in that situation? How do we end up, making the stop that prevents them from being able to bleed some clock, kick a field goal? How do we be able to make some of the plays that maybe were there that I think we're capable of executing offensively? And those are all great learning opportunities. Now, fortunately, the consequences weren't where your season does end. And so I think sometimes it's just, this group this is a special group. I always love the way that they respond. It's never anything, it's not a premeditated deal where I'm saying before the game, okay, if we play this way, this is how I'm going to act. But I think what I'm always trying to be able to do is make sure that whatever that response that you're hunting up is, you want to be able to strike the right balance. And I do believe this. I think the appropriate urgency, but also inspiring guys to want to be able to, have a better response if we're capable of doing that instead of, I don't want guys feeling tight after that or, anything of that nature. And, I'm not saying I always hit the mark, but I always try to be able to do the right thing. And I missed a lot and, and you try to make sure that you're acknowledging that as well.